This is the Wrestlebread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee here, and this is episode 52 of the Wrestlebread Podcast. So, Wrestlebread is finally turning 1. It's been a very crazy year of podcasting. I'm still learning everything that has to do with podcasting. I haven't really learned much about SEO and podcast notes and everything, but I figured that will all come down the line. But I decided to start doing a podcast just to mainly connect with people and to find other people to talk about wrestling with and, you know, talk about the thing that we all love most. I didn't know what to expect really of this. I wasn't expecting to to really blow up and get so popular, but it's really cool that there are people out there that's listening and has been listening since day one. So for that, I definitely give my thanks. Thank you so much for following me this past year, these past 52 episodes. And I doubled up a lot with some of these episodes because of the pay-per-view events, the predictions and everything. And I took a bit of a hiatus because I had a death in the family. It has been an awesome experience. So I hope everyone is staying safe and staying in the home with everything that's going on with the coronavirus. As far as here in Philly, the cases are still going up. We don't have as many deaths, but the cases are still rising. I'm still working, so there's still that bit of a worry that someone in the workplace would catch it, or that someone who may not know they have it will interact with someone. And like I always say, thanks to everyone, all the essential workers out there who are, you know, coming in and out of work. And I know a lot of people say that we should be thankful that we have a job, and I am thankful for that I have a job, but there's still that risk out there that, you know, this virus can catch on to one of us. And it's a scary thing because, like I think I said this in the previous episode, the buses are free for our public transportation. And so there are a lot of people who feel as though, oh, the buses is free. Let me take a bus to the middle of nowhere, because really there's not a lot of places to go in Philadelphia anymore. And I read a news report probably like an hour ago that 2 of the SEPTA workers, that's our public transportation company, had passed away after catching the coronavirus. What really upsets me is that there are people out there who do not believe that this is a real thing and do not care that they catch it or pass it on to anyone. There was a report of someone who got arrested. It might have been Louisiana or probably Jersey or something like that, where someone got arrested for coughing onto the gas pump handles and claimed they had the coronavirus. It's like, come on. It's just frustrating because we could just get back to normal life if everyone just listens and stays home. Just stay home for a little bit and we can all get back to normal life. But unfortunately, there are the idiots who refuse to stay home, and these cases still go up and up. And we're not going to get back to normal life anytime soon. What sucks is, my birthday is this week and I can't really do much for it. I'm hearing that there is this thing called a Corona birthday, I guess. And I have no idea what I'm going to do for my birthday, really. Not like I'm going to go somewhere, but like to do something special. My only plans is I took off a couple of days off of work, and I plan to stay in the house and play some video games like, a lot of people has been doing. And, we have cake mix here, so hopefully the family will bake a cake for me and celebrate it that way. So a lot of events this week. My birthday, Wrestlebread turns 1. And we also had WrestleMania 36. And I have to say it was a very entertaining WrestleMania this year. I really didn't expect it to be entertaining. I'm sure a lot of people didn't expect it to be entertaining at all, especially the fact that there was no crowd and it was filmed in the Performance Center, so we weren't going to get any pyro or anything spectacular. Not saying that this WrestleMania was perfect. There were some matches that made me feel like I was watching an episode of Raw, and I feel as though the timing on night 1 was a lot better than the timing on night 2. Night 2, some of the matches felt like it dragged on forever, but the highlight, the MVP of this weekend, I have to say, is the Boneyard match. I really didn't know what to expect from it. The people who were behind the production, from what I've read, it is the crew that films NXT did a fabulous job. The Undertaker, of course, looks great because of all the edits. I will have to say one of his best matches in years. He looked great from top to bottom. AJ Styles did an awesome job as well. So let's get into the review of it before I start getting into the Boneyard match. So for day 1, we had the pre-show. We had the Miz and Morrison rap, which I thought was awesome. On the pre-show, we had Drew Gulak versus Cesaro, which on paper should have been like a very good match. Unfortunately, it was cut short. This match only lasts 4 minutes and 25 seconds. But for that 4 minutes and 25 seconds, we saw very good wrestling. I mean, Cesaro did the airplane swing with his arms to his side. The strength and the balance of Drew Gulak to kind of, balance himself on Cesaro's shoulders, and the strength of Cesaro to do the airplane spin and to not even hold on to him. Cesaro wins that match. I didn't really recall when that match got announced, so I didn't really have a pick for that match, but Cesaro won. And I'm happy that, first of all, that Drew Gulak is now a face, so that when he comes back to Philadelphia, he'll actually get announced that he is from Philadelphia, so he can get the proper pop. After that, on the main card, we have Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross going against the Kabuki Warriors. This match lasted for 15 minutes. I felt like this match was a bit long, and there was, I don't know what it is with some of these women's matches. It was a lot of yelling and screaming, and it's all cool when you have the commentators and when you have the crowd, but when you don't have a crowd and you have the commentators that don't really talk as much, it sometimes gets nauseating. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross won this match, which is what I predicted. They weren't really doing much with the Kabuki Warriors outside of what, when it was Asuka going against, Becky Lynch. So I expect, since the title is on Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, that they'll actually do something with the titles, kind of make them more meaningful. The next match is Baron Corbin versus Elias. With this match, you can hear the ref very clearly. This match lasted 9 minutes, and I felt like I was watching an episode of Raw with this match, unfortunately. Elias wins this match, which I predicted, but it wasn't really the best on this card. After that, we had Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler, and this was actually a pretty good match, but I really didn't like the ending of it. Becky Lynch wins this match, and I had picked Shayna to win, and I was very confused as to why Shayna Baszler dominated the Elimination Chamber. She had a very, bit Becky Lynch's neck off, and for her to be very dominant and to really put up how strong and how strong that she is, that she loses to Becky Lynch. I mean, actually taps out to Becky Lynch, if I'm not mistaken. And it just kind of brings a lot of confusion. I could see if not tapped out. I'm sorry. She didn't tap out. She was going for her finisher, and Becky Lynch, just like WrestleMania last year, kind of did a roll up, and that was that. Don't know what they're going to do with these two afterwards. Shayna was seen in an interview during Raw on Monday saying she kept repeating the agony of defeat, and she really didn't. I don't know. It just kind of like, it really it knocks her down a couple of tiers. I still don't know why they made her so dominant for her to lose in such a dumb way, for her to get the roll up. I really don't like that. That doesn't make any sense. I'd rather for her to kind of get like the Stone Cold treatment, maybe, whereas though she, was in the disarmer and she passes out or something and just like doesn't give up, instead of being able to be pinned like that for 3 seconds. It really didn't make any sense at all. Next up, we have Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan. This match lasted for 9 minutes, and this match kind of felt short as well, but this was a pretty good match. I mean, Daniel Bryan, of course, they had Nakamura and Smooth Tony involved in this match. Drew Gulak helping out as well. But Sami retained his title, which I really didn't expect. I thought Daniel Bryan will get this, but if this means that we get more of Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan, I'm all for it. After that, what I would have to say was a great match was the ladder match between Kofi Kingston, John Morrison, and Jimmy Uso. This was, of course, with these three men, Kofi Kingston and the New Day and the Usos already proven why they're really good with ladder matches. The crazy spots that they have done to each other in the Hell in a Cell match as well. And then knowing that John Morrison and his parkour skills, you knew this was going to be a great match. I had on paper that this would have been the match of the night, and that was before I knew what the Boneyard match was going to be about. Very interesting ending. This match went on for 18 minutes. An interesting ending is that the titles was unhooked by everyone, and all three men was fighting over the hook. And I always wondered what would happen if more than one person grabbed the hook and started to fight over it. And that's what we got. John Morrison eventually fell with the titles, and that's who determines the winner. But in this match, we had some crazy spots. Kofi Kingston, I think he did this elbow drop, I believe, off of the ladder, and the way he landed kind of funky. I hope he's okay. John Morrison had this spot where I thought he was going to do like similar to like the Undertaker walk across the ropes, and then does a flip or something onto Jimmy Uso, who I believe was on the ladder outside the ring. But what he does is he walks all the way across the ropes to Kofi Kingston, who is on the other turnbuckle. And then he does this crazy Spanish fly as well. And I think then he went and did a flip or something like that onto Jimmy Uso as well. I'm not 100% sure, but this was a great match, and I cannot wait to see what happens next between these three tag teams. After that, we had Seth Rollins going against Kevin Owens. This match, Kevin Owens won this match, and then, Kevin Owens won this match by DQ because they ended up on the outside. Seth Rollins, I believe, hits Kevin Owens with a chair. Seth Rollins was okay being DQ'd, which really didn't make much sense since he calls himself this Messiah. And Kevin Owens got on the mic, said, no, we're going to restart this match. This is going to be a no disqualification match, which Seth Rollins went for. And KO went for this crazy spot where he climbed on the Wrestlemania sign, which is behind the announcer's table, and he dove off of it to land on Seth Rollins, who was on the announcer's table. Kevin Owens ended up winning the match, but the interesting thing is what he had planned had WrestleMania went forward. Apparently, he looked at the stadium when he found out that he was having this match, and he was going to jump off that pirate ship that is at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium. And he was trying to figure out a way to climb up it and jump off of it. So, craziness, first off. If WrestleMania continued and he was able to do that spot, that would have been crazy. After that, we get a look at Gronkowski, who is our host this year, this may be because I'm not the biggest Patriots fan, but he came across so cringy to me. I don't know. Sometimes it felt like he was reading. Sometimes it felt like, I don't know, like overly exaggerated. But it showed him and Mojo Rawley up on one of the balconies, and then R-Truth comes over, kind of introduces himself, and then it was the fight for the 24/7 title. Gronk actually had R-Truth pinned, and then Mojo Rawley pulled Gronk off of him and then went for the pin. And then he kind of looks back at Gronkowski, and I think he called him like a playboy or something like that. And it's like, wow, I mean, it takes a 24/7 title to really get in between you two. That pretty much didn't make any sense. So after that, we get Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. And this match was exactly how long you thought it would be. 2 minutes and 10 seconds, 10 seconds longer than I thought it would be. And this match was basically spear, attempt to a jackhammer, and then power slam, cover, 1, 2, 3. That is it. So Strowman wins the title, and while I am happy for him, it's kind of weird that he won this title after all the shit that he was talking about the indie wrestlers on Twitter, and a lot of fans not liking him after that. But you know, like with WWE, no matter what, you either get a push or you get a title shot or you actually get a title. So it doesn't really matter what you do to Twitter, unless you're Rusev and you actually put out there that you actually are engaged to be married and you screw up a storyline. But other than that, yeah, you get a title shot, you get a title, you get forgiven. And the thing that killed me is that Goldberg kind of did his same entrance, where he had not really police escort this time because of coronavirus, but he got 2 poor staffers that probably was just walking down the hall, and he pulled them to the side and was like, hey, can you walk me out to down the hall? Because they didn't walk him all the way. And I really didn't get why he needed an escort, because, the coronavirus, everyone has to be 6 feet away. There are no fans, so there is least likelihood you're gonna bump into someone. And then you call yourself like this hot shot, so if you see another wrestler backstage, wouldn't he beat his ass or her ass, if we're going down that road? So that part really didn't make sense to me, but I guess he's Goldberg, he has to make his Goldberg entrance. But I had Strowman winning because we all know Goldberg is done after WrestleMania. He is basically here to steal titles and steal moments and then be gone into the sunset, just like his counterpart that he doesn't like to be compared to. And so now we come to the main event, the finale of night 1, and that was the Boneyard match. And I have to say, I know a lot of people did not really like this match. Some people found it cringy, but I didn't look at it as a wrestling masterpiece. I looked at it as storyline. This basically is the story of if the Undertaker still has it. AJ Styles talking so much crap coming into this match, saying how, the Undertaker doesn't have it and he needs to retire. He needs to move over. And basically the Undertaker has now become the big boss that, gets summoned at the end of the game. He only comes around once a year. And I kind of like that for The Undertaker, that he, you know, come WrestleMania time, he is that, you know, oh man, I need to make a name for myself at WrestleMania. Not really a name. Oh yeah, a name for myself at WrestleMania. So I'm going to go against The Undertaker. I wasn't really too hype about this match because we all didn't really know what the Boneyard match is. And then I realized that it wasn't being filmed, that it was filmed off-site. So I was kind of hoping that it wouldn't come off cringy and cheesy. Now there were some elements of this that was a bit cringy and cheesy, of course. This isn't perfect. But I have to say, storyline-wise and the purpose of it, it worked. This is the best that The Undertaker has looked in years. Ever since WrestleMania 30, when he got the concussion, even before that, actually, ever since he faced Triple H and he couldn't walk out on his own. And ever since then, each and every year, he has gotten injured. He needed surgery for this. He needed surgery for that. And it felt as much of a fan as I am of The Undertaker. Sometimes it is sad and it's disturbing to watch The Undertaker wrestle sometimes, especially when you know that he gets injured so easily now. But with this match, this event or the cinema experience, he looked really good. He looked powerful. He looked, of course, you know, he looked as an underdog at times, but in the end, he looked really good. The music, first of all, AJ Styles coming in the hearse, in the casket, first of all, I thought it was The Undertaker. I thought he was going to come out of the casket when they opened it. Come to find out it was AJ Styles trolling once more. I was curious of the druids that he hired to drive the hearse. But then, you know, AJ Styles talking crap about how he is not scared of The Undertaker. Where is he at? And he says, oh, I hear him. And then they play this music with the smoke coming off the street, off the soil. And it's The Undertaker on the bike. And it was this great shot from The Undertaker. It started at his boots and then it goes all the way up. And I was like, okay, that was the money shot right there. The Undertaker was talking so much shit the whole match. It was funny, I have to say, because you don't really see him talking as much as he, you know, because he is the Phenom Undertaker. But now we haven't seen him as the American Badass in so long. Seeing him as the American Badass, but I call him a bit of a hybrid this time around. But seeing him as the American Badass, it was pretty cool. I always said that the Phenom Undertaker is my favorite, but since the Phenom Undertaker is a bit more tarnished now, since 2 motherfuckers defeated him at WrestleMania, I'll take the American Badass Undertaker. Like I said, this Undertaker is a bit of a hybrid because he is able to teleport and he is able to summon fire. I am curious because there were 6 druids that appeared, who they were, as far as like wrestlers who was playing them, but explanation of how they were able to summon those druids for this match. The meme that everyone has been using, including myself, is the meme of when The Undertaker teleported behind AJ Styles, and you see The Undertaker doing his wide-eyed, crazy stare at AJ Styles. AJ Styles was phenomenal, no pun intended, in this match. The story that he told was pretty good. He came off as the younger, cocky, okay boomer type of person. I'm not afraid of The Undertaker, mocking The Undertaker, talking about Michelle McCool, Undertaker's wife. And he was talking so much crap during the whole time until he thought he had The Undertaker in the grave, and then The Undertaker teleported him, and then that's when he realized the power of The Undertaker. He then, started to walk away from The Undertaker, and you see more and more of The Undertaker's power when he summoned the fire. AJ Styles, tried to fight back, but then he was knocked off the building, I think onto some plywood or something below. And then that's when the Undertaker's sitting there like, oh, I thought I was an old man. And you hear AJ Styles starts apologizing, saying that he's sorry and saying that, please don't bury me. And in the end, AJ Styles was knocked into the grave and he was actually buried. They showed AJ Styles' hand coming out the dirt. I wish they had showed the hand doing the too sweet sign, but I guess it wouldn't make sense for him to do the too sweet sign. That for his hand to just be simply there. Interested on how, I guess they're gonna show maybe a clip or something of them digging AJ Styles out. Cause, he's not the Undertaker, so it's not like he's gonna magically appear. Some of the bad things about this was there was a lot of smoke in the beginning that really didn't make much sense. And then a lot of the scenes, the music was just a bit too much. They were changing a lot of music to like upbeat tempo and then to like eerie as well. It was, I guess I should look at it more as like a movie overall, but sometimes the music was a bit too much. That is my, dislike for that match. So now going on to night 2, I have to say night 1 was my favorite versus night 2. It felt like the matches dragged on for a while. So starting off with the pre-show for this match was Natalya going against Liv Morgan. This match lasted for 6 minutes. It was a pretty quick match, but once again, hearing the women talking and reacting when they get hit and ow, 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 it kind of gets a bit too much sometimes. That's why I kind of miss having the crowd, because they can kind of drown out some of the noises that we would hear for, it would drown out some of the noises that we hear of the wrestlers reacting during the match. Gosh, I forgot to write down who won this match. Liv Morgan won this match. I also didn't realize this match, so I didn't pick who would win this match. But Liv Morgan looked great. I love her outfit, and I'm hoping that this is a bit of a reemergence of her, a bit of a small push for her, I should say. Cause really not much to her outside the whole Lana crap. So I'm hoping that maybe she'll get some type of momentum, after this. The first match we had is the NXT Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. And I didn't realize Rhea Ripley gear was inspired by Dragon Ball Z. I was wondering why the hell she was wearing white when she normally wears black. And that's the reason why she was mimicking Dragon Ball Z from what I read. I still wasn't a fan of the gear. I don't know. I'm used to seeing her in black, not really in white. This match, I have to say was nauseating. I couldn't get past the yelling and the screaming with this match. This match lasted for 20 minutes. And for 20 minutes, it was Rhea Ripley screaming, Charlotte screaming, one of them saying tap out, the other one saying tap out. And for this, Charlotte Flair wins the match, which I'm very puzzled about. I didn't expect Charlotte to win this match. I felt as though Rhea Ripley could have used this win to kind of propel her, especially with the title. But Charlotte made Rhea Ripley tap. Now, of course, outside of that is a better storyline because Charlotte was going after the knee of Rhea Ripley throughout the whole match. So her actually applying the figure 4 leg lock. And I think she turned it into the figure 8, I believe. It would made Rhea tap. So I'm guessing now this makes Charlotte goes down to NXT. And a lot of people are excited about the matchups that will be happening down there. I'm hoping that with these matchups that are happening, that it wouldn't be like a bit of a squash or a show of dominance for Charlotte. I feel as though the stage that Charlotte is at now, Like, she won everything. She has, well, I think this is her 11th title reign or 16th, who knows. But I feel as though what her role should be now is pushing the younger talent. She doesn't need anything else. She did everything. She was featured in the main, she was the first in a lot of things. Main event of WrestleMania, main event of Hell in a Cell. She has all these titles. She won Royal Rumble. It's time for her to use her name to put over the younger talent. And when I say the younger talent, I mean her actually winning. So after this match, we had Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. I feel as though this match could have went off the card, really. This kind of felt like a Raw match. It really wasn't anything special to this match. We had Lana ringside. Bobby Lashley almost won this match until Lana got on the apron and told Bobby Lashley, I think it was to spear Aleister Black. And when Bobby Lashley went to go for the spear, Aleister Black did the Black Mass. So this match lasted for 7 minutes and 20 seconds. And this also was another screaming with Lana. So with Natty and Liv screaming, and then we had Rhea and Charlotte screaming, and then we had Lana screaming. It was just so much. It was too much. I kind of had to tune out a little bit during that match, I have to say. So after that, we have Dolph Ziggler going against Otis. And we had Dolph Ziggler with Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville with a very revealing outfit. Meow. But we had Dolph Ziggler and Otis. And this was actually the time I had ordered some food. And this was around the time that the food was coming. But the delivery driver, I have a pet peeve that when the delivery driver calls and says they're outside and they're not actually outside. For whatever reason, the delivery driver calls me, says I'm outside. I go outside. They are not outside. They're actually all the way up the street and it didn't even, come yet. And then they went to grab my food and then they had to come back to get something else. So out of their car. So I missed a lot of this match, but from what I've seen, I missed a portion of this match, but I was able to see Mandy Rose coming out in this gold gear ensemble. Wow. She comes out. Sonya Deville is trying to talk to her. She slaps Sonya and then she gives the low blow to Dolph Ziggler. Otis then does his caterpillar, I believe it's called. And then he, wins the match, which is what I predicted. And so Mandy Rose goes over to Otis. He picks her up, puts her in his arms, and then they kiss, which is surprising. JBL says something funny. He mentioned that, he saw Otis and Mandy Moore kiss, and he said someone should call PETA. I think that's the exact line that he said. I'm not sure. But this match lasted for 8 minutes, and about 5 of these minutes was spent me looking for that dumb delivery driver. After that, we got Edge going against Randy Orton for the last man standing match. This match was a doozy. This match lasted for 36 minutes, and I felt each and every minute of that 36 minutes. And I was very excited to see this feud, but not as excited to see it go on for 36 minutes. Oh, there goes Nia Jax. I wanted it to be all over, unfortunately. I love Edge. I love his theme. I listen to his theme a lot. And him going on, they went all over the Performance Center, and I get it, but it was so long. And a lot of people was talking about the spot where Randy Orton put Edge through, it was I don't know my gym machine equipment, but there's this gym machine equipment that has a pulley, and he put Edge's head through the pulley, and my mind immediately went to Chris Benoit. Everyone's mind apparently went to Chris Benoit, probably because he's been the topic of conversation with this episode of Dark Side of the Ring, which I haven't got a chance to look at, which I will eventually. But that everyone's mind went to that moment when they saw that spot, and everyone really wasn't the biggest fan of how long this match was. I felt as though this match could have been cut in half, really, and it probably would have been a more meaningful and a powerful, more match. Towards the end, we had Edge giving Randy Orton the exact chair shot that he gave him when he turned his back on Edge. Edge, of course, tearing up and crying, thinking about their friendship, and he sat there and cried. I really didn't feel that moment because how long that match went on, and I was just ready for it to be over. So I felt as though maybe they should cut it in half. So after that, then we have Mojo Rawley running around because he was being chased after everyone because he is the 24/7 champion. We had Gronk on top of a balcony. He does this trust fall onto everyone. He goes and pins Mojo Rawley, and now Gronk is the 24/7 champion. Whatever. That's how I feel about that. So after that, we get the Street Profits going against Angel Garza and Austin Theory. I appreciate Montez constantly screaming Wrestlemania to kind of bring a laugh, some type of comedy to this match. But they definitely brought the hype for this match. This was a pretty good match. It was still short as well. This was only 6 minutes and 20 seconds. And the Street Profits end up retaining their title, which I did not pick. I thought we would get new champions due to the fact that they had Zelina Vega ringside. Zelina Vega was trying to interfere into the match, but it still didn't do much help for Angel Garza or Austin Theory because the Street Profits still retained their match. Afterwards, Angel Garza, Austin Theory was attacking the Street Profits. Zelina Vega got involved as well. I believe she kicked Montez for it. And then next thing you know, we get a run-in, some help for the Street Profits, and it was Bianca. And I was pretty hyped. Bianca made a fan out of me. I wasn't really 100% on her when she was first coming around, but you know, she really has grown into her character. And I guess it took a while, but now I am a fan of her because of all her hard work, especially her strength. So I am a fan of Bianca, and I was very happy to see Bianca as well. So it seems like Bianca is permanently with Raw, and as I see with this episode of Raw that occurred on Monday, she is part of Raw now. She is with the Street Profits. And I'm not mad at that because we all know that Montez Ford and Bianca are actually married, so it'll be very good for them to be able to travel together once this is all over. So after that, we had the fatal 5-way elimination match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. We had Bayley going against Lacey Evans, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Tamina. I actually had Naomi winning this match. This match went on for 19 minutes. And I had Naomi going for this match, and I don't know, I should have known better that, you know, it really wouldn't have mattered, but oh well. A little funny moment. Tom Phillips was commentating, and he was mentioning that Bayley almost got eliminated, and Bayley responds to Tom Phillips ringside and was like, "No, I'm not. No, I was not." And so I felt that was funny. But when you listen back to the replay, you can clearly hear Tom Phillips talking loud as shit as he was commentating. So I feel like when they be doing these promos, they really don't need mics because as close as they are to the camera, it's just ridiculous. Tamina was eliminated first by everyone. Everyone hit her with their top of the rope specials. Naomi doing the gosh, I forgot her finisher name. Oh my gosh, I forgot her finisher name. But you see, Lacey Evans did a moonsault as well. Everyone hit her with off the top rope for their move, and then all 4 of them covered her, and Tamina was eliminated. Next, Naomi was eliminated, which was, wow, that was my pick right there. And then you had Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Lacey Evans left. So the 2 of them started to attack Lacey Evans. They were celebrating after they took her down. Bayley pushed Sasha Banks out of the way, because Lacey Evans was coming to attack Sasha from behind. Sasha goes to attack Lacey Evans, and Lacey Evans immediately gives Sasha Banks the women's right. She knocks Bayley down, and then she goes for the cover to eliminate Sasha. And Bayley could have jumped in to break up the pin, but she was kind of slow to move. So Sasha ended up being eliminated. So then it's down to Lacey Evans and Bayley, and you kind of got the feeling a little bit that it could be Lacey Evans who will finally get her title. But no, Sasha comes back and interferes in the match, which makes sense because with this being a fatal 5-way elimination match, there is no disqualification. And Bayley ends up retaining the title. I think I said this already. This went on for 19 minutes. And then next after that, we got the Firefly Funhouse match. And at first, I really didn't understand the premise of this. We really didn't get any type of wrestling, really, at all. And we got a look at the failures, I would have to say, of John Cena. Now, at first, I really wasn't the biggest fan of it, probably because I didn't understand what was going on. But looking back at it now, for it to be a Firefly Funhouse, there really wasn't going to be a wrestling involved, because anytime you go to the Firefly Funhouse, you're mainly in the mindset of Bray Wyatt. So when you go to the Firefly Funhouse, you are nearly looking into the mind of Bray Wyatt. So John Cena going there to the Firefly Funhouse, he kind of gets he gets controlled by Bray Wyatt, which I didn't really understand. But I guess it's like the ultimate mind trick that Bray Wyatt did with John Cena. We got a reenactment, I have to say, of John Cena's debut. He was prototype basically with the trunks, which we haven't seen him in a very long time, and Bray Wyatt playing the role of Kurt Angle. And then after that, we got a look at, I think it was Saturday Night Wrestling, I believe it was. With that, we got a look at John Cena being a bit of a bodybuilder. And John Cena was lifting weights, and he kept lifting weights over and over and over again, and he started screaming. And then after that, we got a look at, what was after that? The word life. And John Cena was rapping in rhymes just like he would when he was Dr. Thugonomics. It was Saturday night's main event. That's what it was. Let's see. Then we got a reenactment of WrestleMania 30, which I remember this spot where Bray Wyatt was his old Wyatt family self, and he told John Cena to hit him with the chair. I wish so much that John Cena would have hit him with the chair and embraced the hate, but he didn't back in WrestleMania 30. This time around, John Cena goes for the swing, but then Bray Wyatt disappeared. And then finally, we get a look at John Cena acting as Hulk Hogan, with Bray Wyatt acting as Eric Bischoff. And I guess a look at if John Cena would have followed in Hulk Hogan's steps, which I think was a really good analogy, because Hulk Hogan back in the day was basically like the perfect human being, the perfect hero, I should say, to a lot of kids. And that's basically what John Cena is today. He's the perfect hero to a lot of kids. And so to have him reenact Hollywood Hulk Hogan's heel turn at a different company, it was kind of a very interesting, it was very interesting to see that happen. So after that, when John Cena gets into the ring, he goes to tackle Bray Wyatt and starts punching Bray Wyatt with like all this anger, and come to find out it was the Huskus the Pig, I think it turned into. And then John Cena kind of stops, and then that's when the Fiend appears. The Fiend appears, gives Cena the Sister Abigail with the mandible claw, And then you see Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt gives the count, and then that was it. And you kind of see John Cena disappear. So watching it back and then kind of reading everyone's like philosophy about it, it makes more sense why we really didn't get that much of a match. This was basically a psychological warfare on John Cena and his fears of what could have happened over the course of his career. Now, like I always say, anytime someone goes up against the Fiend, it normally changes them. Daniel Bryan cutting off all his hair, becoming, the Yes Movement again. Seth Rollins turning heel. I mean, Seth Rollins now thinks he is a god, for Christ's sakes. Kane turning into a mayor. I know that's not because of Bray Wyatt, but I always say that just to be funny. But yeah, so I'm very interested of what will happen now to John Cena now that he went through the Firefly Funhouse and he kind of went through his darkest fears and his darkest fears and like reenacting what ifs of his life. What if he didn't debut? What if he ended up turning heel like Hulk Hogan? What if he slapped Bray Wyatt with the chair? So I kind of digged it. Not as good as the Boneyard match, of course. The Boneyard match definitely takes the trophy of it. But as far as like the complex story that it presents, I kind of dig the Firefly Funhouse match. And then we get to the main event. Drew McIntyre going against Brock Lesnar. At first, I was a little surprised that Paul Heyman didn't introduce Brock Lesnar, but it makes no sense because there is no crowd, so we can't sit there and say his little introduction along with him. This was a very short match, of course, because Brock Lesnar probably wanted to get the hell out of there. This match lasted for 4 minutes and 35 seconds, and it pretty much was Brock Lesnar giving McIntyre a bunch of F5s, which McIntyre kicked out on 1 or right at 2. And then he gave Brock Lesnar some suplexes. Brock Lesnar gave Drew McIntyre some suplexes, and he sold it a little bit, but in the end, Drew McIntyre gave Brock Lesnar a couple of bro kicks and pinned Brock Lesnar 1, 2, 3. And Drew McIntyre is now our Universal Champion. I'm very happy for him. I did tweet out and I used the mention. I tried to get people to rally up and mention Drew McIntyre in their praises. Because, that was a moment that he won't get back as far as him getting this moment in front of the crowd. And another little thing that I didn't even realize is that Drew McIntyre is the first British it said British WWE champion, but I guess, because he's Universal Champion, he's the first British Universal Champion in history, which I didn't even think about. And I'm sure that all the internationals would have loved to have witnessed that live. So I'm hoping that once this is all over, that Drew McIntyre will go on a thank you tour and travel around so that we can all cheer him on and give him the pop that he deserves. So that is all of WrestleMania. I kind of like the 2 nights for WrestleMania. Each night was about three and a half hours long. If you had combined it with plus pre-shows, it's 4 hours long. If you had combined it with a 1-day WrestleMania like they love doing, it would have been 8 hours. That is a work shift. And normally in the middle of a work shift, you get tired of is all hell. So I really appreciate that this took place over the course of 2 nights so that you can kind of enjoy the match and you're not exhausted towards the end, so that whoever gets that main event spot, the crowd isn't exhausted and can still react, have enough energy to react what's going on. Now, I don't know I really didn't keep up with a lot of the rumors or anything, so I don't know if they're going to continue with this format from now on, that they will make this a 2-night WrestleMania event. I wouldn't mind if they did, but I'm very curious of how they would handle the tickets. If there's going to be a discount for people who buy tickets for both nights, because 9 times out of 10, the people who are going to go to both shows are the people who's going to go to both nights of WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania, and since SmackDown is no longer on Tuesday, everyone's going to go home. But more likely, they're going to go Friday night SmackDown, and then Saturday's WrestleMania, Sunday's WrestleMania, and then Monday is the Raw after WrestleMania. So it leaves a lot of questions, like what happens to the Hall of Fame? What happens to NXT TakeOver? Maybe the Hall of Fame occurs earlier that day. I don't know. So it's a lot of things that they have to figure out. They can't make it 2 weekends because that's going to be a lot of money and a long time for our international friends to come over to celebrate. Now, next year, WrestleMania 37 will take place in LA. I'm actually thinking about going to that one. I've never been outside the East Coast, really. I mean, if you count Chicago airport, even though I never left the airport, I guess if you can count that. But other than that, I never been to the West Coast. Not really the biggest fan of flying. When I went to WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans, I actually took an Amtrak train. It was a 24-hour train. Hey, I was completely fine with it at that time because I really did not want to fly. So I'm guessing if I'm going to go to LA, I would have to chalk it up and actually get on a plane. But it's still a thought for right now. WrestleMania 37 takes place about almost a week and a half before my birthday. So I really can't turn into like an extravaganza like I normally do whenever WrestleMania comes around. But my birthday is this Thursday, and like I said, I'm mainly going to spend it playing video games. Shout out to all the Aries and before me, I think is Pisces, and then after is Taurus. So all of us who have to spend our birthdays or people who have to spend their anniversaries in the house, shout out to you. Let's make the best of it. I feel as though this is just I guess a wake up call for us to take a lesson of appreciating the little things. Like, I miss going shopping. I like shopping in a store. I like having the option of going to the supermarket and not feeling scared to go shopping. I went shopping this past Saturday, and I haven't shopped for groceries really in about 3 weeks. I mean, I would go to like Dollar General to pick up a few things, or I would stop by a small supermarket to pick up a few things, but to like actually go to a big supermarket and like buy the groceries and fill up the cart, I haven't done that pretty much since this started. Out of fear. And I went this past Saturday and I went through it as quickly as I could. Unfortunately, there was nothing on sale, of course, because we're all going to buy the food anyway. And I just miss being able to go out somewhere and not having fear. That's the thing that I miss the most. Being able to go somewhere, being able to just walk around and not be in fear. Not being in fear slightly when I go to work. Not having to tell everyone that I live with to not touch me, don't come near me until I go through like this, decontamination process of changing clothes and washing hands and taking showers and everything. It's just the little things. I'm not a big movie theater person, but I miss going to the movie theater. I miss going out to the park now, We can't do all that. So I'm hoping for all of our sakes, especially for those who are laid off, who do not have a job. I'm hoping that this is all over very quickly so that we can all go back to our normal lives. Everyone can get their jobs back and that everything kind of goes back to normal. But for everyone to kind of remember, remember this moment, to not take things for granted. So that's it for the Wrestlebread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support this past year. And if you are a new listener, I thank you for listening. I thank you for your support this coming up year. You can find me on Twitter at Jaydee Talks. That's Jaydee Talks. And you can follow the podcast at Wrestlebread as well. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions of Wrestlemania. I had a vote on the Wrestlebread podcast Twitter page, and a lot of people felt as though it was kind of mixed, but most of the votes went to good and meh. So overall, I felt as though it was a good WrestleMania. I'm hoping that we will get a lot better WrestleMania next year, when we all can have a crowd, be able to experience it live. So, but once again, thank you for your support and thank you for listening. Until next time, guys, peace.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Check us out at Wrestlebread.com and subscribe to Wrestlebread on YouTube for more breaking news and JD's opinions.